Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast.
Good morning and welcome to the Ordinary Daily version of the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast. My name is Scott. I'll be your host today. It is Tuesday. It is May 14th. We are 75 days away from Ironman Lake Placid, our redemption race this year, my redemption race this year. I do want to apologize a little bit for going off on Game of Thrones. I got a little out of control, but it really affected me, guys. I'm telling you, it really affected me. I spent yesterday kind of going through a whole bunch of like these, you get lost in these wormholes online, fan pages. They're all over the place. And at this point, it just feels like piling on. Nobody likes season 8. It is a horrendous failure that everyone watches. And I don't know. We have one episode left. We've all invested 7+ years, 7 seasons. Waited 2 years on this last season. And yeah, cinematography, wonderful. Storyline, shot. I do have some ideas on how I could see this ending. We're going to share those, I think, on Friday. So leave you guys in suspense and see how this thing goes. I don't know if those ideas are going to save the show. I just have some ideas on how it could help. So let's see. Yesterday, let's talk about the schedule here. Tonight I have an interview with Ryan Chikuski, and I'm just going to pretend like I know how to pronounce his last name. I'm just going to say that with confidence. Chikuski. He's an author and ultra-marathoner. I've been talking to him for a couple months and trying to get him on the show, and finally got him on the schedule. So tonight we'll be interviewing him. Probably get that turned around fairly quickly. I don't think it'll take too long as the audio cooperates. So maybe tomorrow or Thursday. Tomorrow, Stephanie and I are driving out to go see Samantha Watson and to hand her a check for the SAM Fund for the Ordinary Marathon. So again, I can't thank you guys enough. This is what you did. This is all you guys that participated, that donated, that bought shirts, showed up at the 5K in the rain. This is what you did. This is the result of it. And, someone at the other end is going to benefit from it. And you should be proud of that. You should be definitely be proud of that. And again, I thank you guys. And I'm sure Samantha's going to thank you tomorrow. We're going to try to bring our video camera and get a little footage of it and bring it back and put that up for you guys to see and show you that, we do this race and we participate and we take pictures and we congratulate each other and we support each other. But it goes beyond the camaraderie and the support, I guess, of each other. And that's why I do this race. And that's why I'll continue to do this race. I had a conference call with Scott Frassard yesterday from Forever Home Running to try to kind of get ahead of next year's race early. Because I feel like, we're constantly evolving. We're new to this. We don't know what we're doing. At least I am. Scott's not. He's a veteran. But, in order for this to build and grow and become something that we do every year, we just want to make it the best that it can be. And handing over a nice check to charity tomorrow, it's going to feel good. And that, I'm sure, it'll help me feel better. And I hope it helps you guys feel better about the things that we did for 10 days running and really just supporting one another and supporting this great charity. So thank you guys for that. I'm really looking forward to seeing Samantha Watson tomorrow. Trying to get Mary Countryman on the show. She doesn't even know. I didn't even talk to her yet. But we're trying to get her on the show with Laura Stebbins. Mary won 3 months of free coaching from Ascension Multisport a 3 months ago. And it was all leading up to the Ordinary Marathon. So we just want to talk to her about kind of her experience with coaching and, what she thought about it, if she thought it was worthwhile, if she thought it was motivating, if it helped her. And, I think that's a great thing to do. I think, the Ascension Multisport has really helped us over the last couple months with the Ordinary Marathon, showing up at our 5K and handing out medals and taking pictures. We posted the video yesterday from the 5K. If you haven't seen it, check that out. And geez, what a great time. It's just nice to have good friends and good support. And really looking forward to kind of even growing this and making it bigger next year. I'm so excited. I got really excited. I was kind of working on it, and I'm like, it's a year away, but still very excited about it. What else we got? that's it, I think. So let's talk about yesterday's training. I want to talk about a couple things today. So yesterday, I got off the podcast, which was way too long. I did my lower body strength training. But because I still had some residual soreness, which by the way is now gone, because I still had that residual soreness, I didn't want to overdo it with the weights. So I did lunges with no weight. I did air squats. I did a lot of work with the bands, like the rubber bands. I have like a pole in the basement, put the rubber band around it, and get tension that way. Calf raises, a little back workout. I don't know. And then did 20 minutes of yoga again. That was day 20 of my 30-day yoga journey. The journey continues, folks. It just keeps on going. I do feel good. I do feel good about that. And, I kind of disparaged it a little bit yesterday because I was hoping for some help. And when it came to long runs, in terms of giving me relief from aches and pains. And I thought that not being flexible was part of that. But I got to tell you, like, just doing it yesterday, I took a couple days off over the weekend, doing it yesterday, I can feel the improvement. I can feel the additional flexibility that I have and balance. I think balance and flexibility are the two main keys of how this has helped me. And I think it's going to help me. I think the way, and you won't be able to see it, but the way it's going to help me is in things like the swim. When you need that core work, that core muscle to kind of keep your legs up high. And you're not even going to notice, you're not even going to notice the effect, but maybe you'll notice on the clock how it helps you. I think on the bike it will help me. Ultimately it'll help me get lower in the aero position, which is right now, it's ridiculous how high I am. My bike fitter was like, basically your aero bars are useless. It's just adding additional weight to the bike and you should probably just get rid of them. And the only reason I didn't was because it's an additional position for me to be in that will over the course of a 7-hour ride, it gives me like a little bit of a different area to kind of get comfort. When you're sitting in the same spot for hours and hours and hours, you got to move around. Otherwise, you get sores, it just gets bad. And I do think that the additional flexibility that I'm getting, that will ultimately lead me to be able to be more comfortable in that aero position and get lower and lower as I lose weight, as I train harder, and as needed, as I gain flexibility. I mentioned weight, and weight is an important part of cycling, and we'll talk about that here when it comes to last night's workout. So, my intention last night initially was to do a brick workout, but Zwift is our is the bike training software. It's basically a world, a fictional world where people go and ride their bikes. So you ride indoors, but it makes you feel like you're outside, and it's kind of like a social, a little bit of a social media aspect to it. You get to race other people, and so they came out with this special course, this Italian time trial course, and it was only out for like 3 days, and yesterday was the last day. So yesterday, and you had to ride it in what's called an event. So you had to kind of sign up for it, and you ran the event, and it took your time, and it posted it, for everyone to see. Now, my friend Joe Bartlett did this race not yesterday, 2 days ago. So he did it on Sunday, and I can see his training. It's the same thing as like a Strava. You can see what other people are doing. So, and Joe is a good friend of mine. One of the things I like about Joe is that I can compete with him, and for some reason, I really want to beat him all the time. And I know he's a better cyclist than me. He's faster than me. But he's good natured about competition, which is something that I love. Is that if I beat him, he won't be upset, and if I lose to him, he might dig me a little bit, but he'll always have a constructive something to say on improving or trying to be motivational, something like that. So just kind of like a good, it's like a good healthy competition with a friend. And so I looked at his finish in this race, and I decided that I want to try to beat him, which is sort of an overarching theme with me and Joe. I want to beat him. I saw he averaged 208 watts, Now, Joe I'm guessing Joe weighs about 180, 185. Joe, I don't know. I'm guessing. He definitely doesn't weigh as much as I do, but he's not, super skinny guy. He's a big dude, meaning he's strong. He's a big dude. He's not like a beanpole cyclist. He's got some muscle. And I saw that he averaged 208 watts, and I'm like, all right, I could beat that. I know I can beat that. And he finished in 26 minutes and 35 seconds. And I'm thinking, geez, I got to just beat 208 watts over, less than half an hour. I know I can do that. So I got excited. I said, screw it. I'm forget the brick. I'm going to do a really intense bike ride for however long it takes for me to finish this race. So I signed up for it. Got on the bike last night about 9 o'clock. And I hit it hard. I hit it absolutely hard. In my mind, I was thinking, all right, I knew I had to beat 208 watts by more than just a little bit. Because I know that Zwift takes a lot of things into account. And one of the things that they take into account is your weight. And now here, you would think, now I don't know what goes on at Zwift. I don't know their algorithms, but you would think with the mountain of data they probably have from other riders, including weight, wattage, duration and time, hills, GPS data, that they get pretty darn close to being able to estimate how far you can ride or how quickly you can ride a given course in a given period of time. You hope that the mathematics behind it is pretty darn close. I believe they took off drafting. So drafting is another effect that can help. If you're riding and you're riding behind other riders, you get a drafting effect from the wind, and supposedly they have that calculated in there. They turned that off for this race. I'm pretty sure they turned it off for the race, so it didn't matter. It was a non-factor. The only other factor that could have had significant changes to the results is the kind of bike that you ride. Now, I was on a road bike. I just don't want to, I'm too lazy to change it. And there's also a time trial bike, which is, the more like the triathlon bike that you see. So I'm sure that Joe was on a tri bike or a TT bike or whatever they call it. I don't know if there's a difference between those two. And by the way, if anyone knows the difference between a tri bike and a time trial bike, let me know, because I felt like they were the same. And then I saw a video that suggested that they weren't the same. I just don't know. So if, let me know if you guys are listening to this, what the difference between a tri bike and a TT bike is, because I don't know. So I go out and I pushed hard on this race. I pushed really hard. At the end, Zwift will recognize your functional threshold power, and it will change it. It doesn't change every ride, but if you really push hard, or if you really make a drastic change in your riding, it will alert you that, hey, you've improved. Your FTP has gone up. My FTP went up from 204 to 220 in this ride alone. I averaged 228 watts over the course of the race. I finished like 110th out of 150, which isn't bad. And I honestly don't know that number. I should look, but I don't even want to bother. It's not bad for me. And when you think about the Zwift platform, a lot of people have the Peloton. There's I think I have like this separated into two categories of riders. Those who ride bikes have Zwift. So people who are cyclists, who have expensive bikes, they bring them home, they want to ride them, they put them on a trainer, they hook it up to Zwift. Casual riders are more likely to have Peloton, which is the thing that, what you find in the gym, like a stationary bike. And they each have their own benefits. But my thought is that when you ride on Zwift, you're riding with cyclists. You're riding with legit cyclists. Whereas when you ride on Peloton, there are still some legit cyclists there. It's just that it's going to be a lot of casual riders as well, more casual riders. So that's my theory on that. Which is why when I come in 110th out of 150, that's not bad. That's actually pretty good for me. So I averaged 228 watts, which was 20 watts more than what Joe averaged. Now, Joe also, let's be honest here, Joe also didn't realize that he would be competing against me. So I don't know how hard he pushed. I almost threw up. I don't know how hard he did his. But yeah, I almost threw up. I felt I gave it every ounce that I had. My time was 27 minutes and 20 seconds. So despite pushing out an average of 20 more watts than Joe, he beat me by 45 seconds in a race that took less than a half an hour. And when you think about that, that is significant. That is a significant difference. So when I sit here and I talk about weight, and I talk about how upset I am that I'm not losing it, it's not an aesthetic thing. It's not like I feel bad going to the beach. It's not, any of that stuff. It's man, like imagine how good I'd be if I weighed 185. If I had that 185 and I don't know, say I used the same bike as Joe and I pushed out 20 more watts, what would my time have been? How much would I have improved? Because it certainly would have been through his time. So I would have gotten that 45 seconds back and then probably, I don't know, another 30 seconds, which in the course of a half-hour ride, say a minute and a half, a minute and 15, a minute and a half, you extrapolate that to an hour, you're talking like, 2.5 to 3 minutes. Now you extrapolate that to an Ironman, 7 hours. I mean, now you're talking significant time, right? I don't know, like 20 to 25 minutes. And that's significant, especially when you're not really sure exactly, you're not completely confident on the bike and you'd like to bake in more time on the run, especially the way I've been running lately. So I'm sitting here now at 225 pounds, which is on the higher end of where I've been. I've been kind of like my weight has been stagnant over the last 4 months. I lost like 10 pounds in January, 8 to 10 pounds in January. And I been crawling it back and I'm probably right back, maybe, I probably gained 6 pounds back. And yeah, I know it's not all weight because there's, I've been strength training. So there's the muscle factor, all that. But the diet has been lackluster. I mean, it's not as bad as last year. Last year I got up to 240. I don't really feel like I'm gaining. I feel like this weight gain hasn't really been, it's not fat. But I should be losing. I'm training for an Ironman. I train, yesterday was a down training day, right? It was a weak training day and I trained for an hour and 15 minutes. And that's a poor training day. That's strength training, yoga, and a short bike ride. So if on a poor training day, I'm doing an hour and 15 minutes and I still can't lose weight, it's just like, you kind of want to throw your arms up and say, and give up. But then there's the other way to look at it, which is this. How good of a cyclist would I be if I lost the weight? I got to use that as motivation. How good, geez, I would have finished 110th out of 150. If I dropped the weight and weighed, Joe, 185. If I weighed 185, I don't know where would I finish? 50 out of 150? Significant improvement. And when I look at, and one of the things they do is they list all the finishers and you look at kind of the average watts. And there's my 228 amongst the finishers. And you kind of go up the scale of the people who finished ahead of me. And none of them pushed out 228. You have to go all the way up the scale to find people pushing 228 watts. The real cyclists who weigh less, and push out more wattage. And if you go to the top guys, forget it. It's like 300 watts. And, they weigh 150 and push out 300 watts. But how good could I be if I just dropped the weight? And it's kind of like, you want to be competitive with yourself and you want to be competitive. I don't know. It would be nice to be competitive within my age group. Could I be? If I lost 45 pounds, and granted, that's not going to happen for Ironman Lake Placid in 75 days. That wouldn't be good. That would be loss of muscle and that starvation, which can happen. But man, it's just one of those things. Like I want to kind of use that as motivation. Like, how good could you be? And I don't think I was able to say this last year because last year, I wasn't able to push out 228 watts. I said my FTP, that's kind of like your measure of how far you can go or how many average watts you can put out for like an hour, is sort of like the general rule. And that for me last year was like 190. It was like 190. And now it's Well, my FTP is 220. So my cycling has improved greatly in terms of that number. So now when I look at it, it's like, wow, I'm much better now than I was last year. And if I would have just lost the weight, like, man, I would be significantly better. And I got to tell you, I'm like psyching myself up here. I got to do, I got to do more push away from the table. And the funny thing is that my meals are healthy. I mean, I had like a salad from Panera last night. I got the apple, right? You go to Panera and it's like chips, apple, or bread. And no one ever says apple. It's right. It's either chips or bread. No one ever says apple. It's almost like they're tortured to say it. Chips, apple, or bread. Everyone says bread. Although Stephanie got chips yesterday. But yesterday I got the apple. And I've been doing that actually on a regular basis. I get the apple. Who gets the apple? No one gets the apple, right? Please tell me. Tell me if you've ever gotten the apple at Panera. No one. It's like they're like apple. They got to go in the back and like brush off an apple from They got to pick one from a tree in the backyard. And they run to the grocery store. Someone get an apple. Someone ordered an apple. Believe it? And they got to dust it off. They pick it out of the box. Here you go, sir. No one gets the apple, just like no one gets almond milk. Although that's a trend that's starting. I got to tell you, they've been running out of almond milk here and there at Dunkin'. And I look in there and they got boxes in the fridge. I think I was ahead of that trend. It's coming, almond milk. With that, I think we're going to wrap things up today, guys. Just for today's training, I have upper body strength training this morning, yoga. My pool, I was going to swim yesterday. By the way, my pool, it's out of commission for like a week or two. And it's not that I can't use it. It's that what they do is they have this bubble that goes around the pool. And in the winter, they put the bubble up so that you can go in there and swim, and it's like an indoor pool. And then in the summer, they take the bubble down. And then you're out, it's like an outdoor pool. And it's kind of good and bad. I like being outdoors, I do. But it invites this new crew to the pool. It's this new, look, our gym pool is now a vacation pool. It's not, guys. It's still a pool where you do workouts. And there's, all right, I know they do classes and they do all that good stuff. But I still need my lane to swim in. It's still a gym, guys, It's not a country club. It's a gym. That's another thing I get annoyed at. So anyway, so it's like 45 degrees out today. So I ain't going swimming. It was 45 yesterday. By the way, remember yesterday I said, I scrolled down, I looked at the weather on the podcast and I said, it's not going to rain all week. Yesterday at like 5 o'clock, the skies just opened up and it just poured for like a good couple hours. Yeah. I tell you, I'd love to be a meteorologist. The two jobs that I'd love, meteorologist or economist. You just wait till the last minute, change your forecast to what's actually happening, and then you're perfect. Perfect. Anyway, I'm going off topic here, ain't I? So today, I got to get a run in. I think what we're going to try to do is about a 7 or 8 mile run. I may go outside if the weather cooperates. It's still overcast out. If the weather cooperates, I'll go outside and do it. If not, I'll be on the treadmill. But I'd really like to get outside. And, that's kind of it for today. That's all I have planned. If something, I have the podcast tonight. If I get a wave of, motivation, maybe I'll just jump on the bike for a little while too, just to burn some calories. But I did psych myself up just now to drop some weight just from the competitive angle. Little fire inside me. Just like, hey. Think of how good you'd be if you were like, I don't even think I ever really thought about that because my power output was such in the past that I could never compete. And now it's like getting better and better. And it's like, well, maybe. And the easiest way to compete, drop the weight. So, no more cookies. For 75 days, no cookies. Can you do it? I don't know if I can do it. I like my cookies. I should also stop drinking, but I don't drink a lot, just once in a while, but I feel like it's just wasted calories when I do. Anyway, that being said, about 25 minutes today. Sorry for keeping you. And get it going today, guys. Stay on it. If you have training plans, if you don't have them, make them. If you have them, get them done. Get them done. And remember, every day is an ordinary day unless you make it extraordinary. So get after it, guys.
Remember to like our video and subscribe to our channel.